Introducing J-Braid Expedition. Featuring a high-pitch weave construction, Daiwa's new J-Braid has a super round profile, aiding in abrasion resistance and angler feel. The use of 8 round strands of raw Isanus material further enhances line durability. Daiwa's new coating PE technology gives Expedition hydrophobic properties to repel water, silt and sediment from penetrating into the braid's weave, increasing durability and longevity. Contaminants entering the braid is one of the main causes of wear and tear. With improved contact with your lure and bite sensitivity now gives anglers the upper hand when out on the water. J-Braid Expedition makes you be a strong fighter.
G'day. We are here, Lockdown Live. We got feedback and everything tonight, Nicole. You are pushing all the buttons. I'm hanging here. I'm sort of the good looks of the team, I think. And who was watching the ads on the way in thinks that the voice doing the VO for the Daiwa, the J-Braid Expedition, is that Braden Shoe?
I reckon.
With his deep voice on and some voice modification. Tell me if you think it was. There was about 40 of you watching while that ad was running. If you think that's Braden, let us know in the comments there. Same time, let us know where you're from. We got the prize. Where are you from? Oh, magic. I have a big prize in here. All of the stuff in this bag can be yours. That includes a Rapala buff, a cold beverage you can have in your TT ABT toadfish drink holder here, stainless steel. Look at that, some VMC live baiting hooks. I don't know where the hell they came from, but there they are. We've got some packets of bait junkie here. 1, 2, 3, 4 packets of bait junkies. We've got some Maui Jim sunglass cleaners. They're the most sought after thing at the briefings nowadays. Got a Garmin drink holder as well. It's better have plenty of drinks. Halco TB65, Power Pole buff, all that sort of stuff. It fits in a post pack. It's going to be yours if you just tell us where you're from. That's as complicated as the competitions get at the moment. I'm going to put them all back in the bag here. I don't know what Nicole is doing down there. She's trying to sort something out on the iPad, making sure that we're all online. And Nicole, been a big start to our year. How long was that Victorian road trip?
It was at least 3 months.
Felt like 3 months. We had all the weathers. We had the storms and rain and dry and hot and fire.
It was hot out when we did the bass events. Glen Maggie, how hot was it that first day out at Glen Maggie?
It was pretty, and it was windy. The pre-fish day was so windy I didn't even go out. It was like, the fish are going to be where they were last year. And then I remembered I didn't fish it last year. So it was like, they're going to be where they were 2 years ago. They weren't, but doesn't matter. You make it up as you go along. But awesome Victorian road trip. You would have seen the huge numbers of anglers. We averaged high 60s in the boats in the BREAM, and we have nearly 25 boats each in the bass tournaments down there. So thank you very much for supporting ABT. Obviously, cost of living crisis affects everything except tournament fishing.
It's been really cool too. Now we've done the bass events down there for the last 3 years in a row, just to see some of the stats and to see the growth in the fish, and the guys are getting more tuned in on where to find them. We're seeing more fish coming through in the tournaments. It's just cool to see it all coming together down there.
I think for the bass, Blue Rock is the real star. Like every year we've run there, the guys have caught bigger and bigger and bigger fish. Wasn't hard because at the start we were catching some dead set key rings, and now there's a lot of that 25 to 35 centimetre fish coming in. So,
and that's where Corey Goldie caught that 51 centimetre Blue Rock bass, like a unicorn of a fish.
That's right. There. Yeah, the first 50 fork we've seen in there, and a lot of fish. Yeah, I like, personally, I love it. I just love catching fish. I got 52 fish on the score sheet for the 2 days. Only about 2 were over 30, and only about 6 were over 20s. But you know what? It's going to turn into a monster lake, that one. Timber, it's awesome. Glen Maggie is a little bit of a different lake. It's sort of a bit of a water ski lake. So we had that one on the weekend. Would have probably benefited from being during the week, but on the weekend there were jet skiers going around, there were skiers, there was people skiing in the 5 knot zones. It was a total madhouse, but still a lot of fish came in, but those real big ones eluded the anglers this year.
Yeah. But the thing I love about Glen Maggie is how awesome the guys at the Powerboat Club there are to work with. The guys can camp there, they feed them, there's bacon and egg rolls every morning going. It's all set up for them.
The boat ramp is on site. You can literally get on site and not leave for about 3 days.
There's an open bar every afternoon when they come in, so they really look after us at Glen Maggie.
Yeah, it is. I must admit, it is an awesome location to run a tournament. Probably the best location we run tournaments nationally is at Glen Maggie Powerboat Club. Can you think of anywhere better? For the facilities?
Meetung Hotel is pretty good.
Nah, it's a BREAM tournament. Meetung Hotel is pretty good, but you can't live at the Meetung Hotel.
I could live at the Meetung Hotel.
You could. No one can. No one actually can. So, yeah, awesome down in Victoria. You've got a slide with some stats on maybe from the BREAM events there, showing how good the Gippsland net-free zone is performing. So run us through some of those, Nicole.
So there we go. So this is just a year-on-year comparison for the last couple of years we've been going there. Obviously, we had a few more boats on the water this time around, but just to see that increase in fish. So last year, 1,160 fish through the app.
Yep.
This year, 1,800.
So 700 more fish.
700 more fish with only 7 more boats on the water.
Yep.
Kept us so busy. Those couple of days, Kim was in the office, who looks after all your entries. She was processing fish. I was processing fish down in Victoria. It was just non-stop those couple of days.
There was more fish processing going on than Grayson Fong's kitchen.
Oh, leaving that well alone.
Oh, come on.
And then just to see the size of fish coming through as well, you can see it in front of you there. Over 40 centimetre fish. We had 30 of them on the scoreboards, and 174 kilo plus fish as well come through. We do have a promotion running all year with the team over at Bluefish Imports, Kate and Josh. Over there, we're calling it the X-Braid non-boater trophy bream promo. So non-boaters who catch a 1 kilo plus bream.
36 forker, yep.
You catch it in your first one you catch for the season. They've got an awesome little X-Braid pack they've put together for you there, so you get one of those. We were chatting with them. We'd gone through stats from previous years. We said, well, give us 20. That'll do it. That'll do us for the season. Big bream in Victoria. We'll see some big ones in Tazzy. Maybe the Hawkesbury. So 20 will do it. After the first day at Gippsland
all gone.
First day of the first tournament, they were all gone. So, cracking, like for non-boaters, that meant 20 non-boaters plus on that first day catching kilo plus bream. I think that was pretty cool.
And if you're a non-boater that missed out on a prize pack, I put them all in the post box this morning. So we packed them all in the post pack. So everyone should be up to date by the time Australia Post gets it to you. At the current rate of service, that March, April, you might get it if you're lucky. But, we've done as best we can. The other option was to throw them all out the window of the plane as we're flying down to go to Tazzy on Friday. But anyway, see how you go with Ozpost. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not, and I'm not afraid to tell them when they're not. Don't you worry. So Victoria was awesome, but we're now getting ready for Tazzy. As we know, the car and the boat's down there. We left it down there so we're not driving back 20 hours and then turning around in 10 days and driving back down again another 20 hours. So thank you, Mario, for looking after the boat. Thank you, Melbourne Airport long-term parking, for looking after the car. Cooking it in 38 degrees there, I think yesterday maybe. And we're on the Spirit on the Saturday night. Yep. So if there are any kayakers watching that are on there, watch out. Nicole's going to probably sink a rumbo or 6 at the bar there.
Nicole will pop her seasick tablets and we'll see you in Tazzy.
Seasick tablets plus rumbos. Bad. Anyway, we're going down that night, and a lot of interest there. We got high 30s in boats for Tazzy. I think we're only got 1 or 2 people widowed in the non-boater side for Tazzy.
2 at St Helens, 1 on the Derwent. So any late boaters thinking of coming along, get those entries in, make those nonnies happy.
Oh yeah, we'll make them happy. Look, for the most in-demand non-boater tournament of the year, pretty good. I only have 2 sort of widowed at the moment, or 1 guy widowed twice because he entered last, and then 1 of the earlier entries still widowed. So we'll get there. The final thing from Victoria, AO-wise, bit of a runaway at the moment in the BREAM, in the boater, because Mark Healy, how cool was that, is won his last 4 BREAM qualifiers he's fished, and every single one of those has been in a gigantic field.
So it was Hawkesbury last May.
Gigantic field.
Lake Macquarie the following month. I think it was about
field.
July last year.
Yep.
Then backed it up coming and doing Victoria to open the season. It was the inside joke that before he'd entered Tazzy that he was going to win that as well.
Oh yeah, he ended that. I reckon he saw the pile of cash and just go, oh, you know what? I probably can't afford to go to Tassie now. So Heels, you go for it in Tassie, mate. I think you've been there before. So anyway,
he was a non-boater on the back of your boat.
Oh yeah, you have been there
moons
before.
ago.
Exactly right. And I know he knows how to catch the black bream. So watch out, Tassie. So no, awesome fields down there. And in the non-boater AOY, who's leading the nonnies AOY? You did the tables. Liam Allen,
Yes.
who won Minkota, and he did top 10 in Gippsland Lake. So he's leading the non-boaters there. Next spot quiz, who's leading the Bass Boater AOY?
Braden Shue, the voice of Expedition.
Oh, Braden Shue leading Boater AOY. 2 second places for Braden. So you'll see him written up twice in Fishing Monthly magazine in the April edition. We've done all our homework. Those are all going in the magazine this month. And then in the non-boater division in the Bass, come on.
No idea.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up too. I can't remember. It's been a few weeks ago since I looked at it. But well done. You're going to look it up on your phone now, aren't you? To find who it is.
We'll be able to.
Off the top of my head, can I remember? No, I can't picture it. We didn't do graphics for it, so let's just pretend we didn't mention it. Tazzy. We've got 2 kayak events first. We're going to Little Swanport first, which is a gem on the east coast of Tassie, and then only about 20 or 30 k's away, the Swan River after that. That was where Andrew Kruska won the kayak tournament last time we were in Tassie. He caught like 6 fish for 8-point-something kilos. It was obnoxious, the size of the fish that he caught. Oh, look at that. Benny Farrow over Corey Goldie by 1 point. There you go.
No, they're tied.
Tied.
Tied first.
But Ben did
Finished
better in the
better.
last event, so away you go. So there you go. Victorian leading Bass 01. I wonder if Benny's going to fish any other events.
We'll wait and see.
Wait and see.
Tazzy,
yeah. So the kayak events are on. In between the 2 kayak events, we've put that Huon event because the tides were good then. So that's the free event in Tas. I think we've got 13 or 14 boats entered for that, I think, at the moment.
13.
13.
Yep.
On the app, free entry, free duo product. We're having the Prezzo at the fish and chip shops there. Willie Thorpe says it's the only one you eat at when you're at.
It's where the locals go.
Where the locals
so it's
go.
got to be good.
So that's going to be cool there. So if you can make it, if you're in Tassie and you're coming, or even if you're not, you don't have to be an ABT member to fish it. We just want to check out if that arena is any good for bream, which we suspect it is, and there's a story about later on tonight. Speaking of tonight, we talked to Steve Steer about the Derwent. He's dropping all of his hints on the Derwent. We're talking to Sean Clancy about St Helens. It's a Minkota round. He's Mr. Minkota and he's done well at St Helens before. And Big Willie Thorpe is giving us the Huon rundown. He's the poor fella who's last on the list for nonnies, but, you know, he's a local. He can rattle some cages down there. And that's part of the pun because his job is working on the salmon farms, rattling cages, I think. So
You're so funny.
you didn't get that. I don't like jokes I have to explain, eh? Anyway, so Tassie's looking great. That's the calendar of events down there, and we'll be down there for probably good nearly 3 weeks by the time we're out of the joint. So great time of the year to visit. The Tasmanians are great people. Every time we go down there, I know if I have any problems with the Merc at all, Zane White's like, I got that part in my car. He's a Mercury dealer from the north there. I know that Plinio's always really happy to help, and he's kicking around all the time. And just James Mackay. The only one I haven't heard from actually, old Shagger, Lee McKenzie. I haven't heard from. I tried ringing you up the other day, Lee McKenzie. If you're watching the show, I don't want you to miss the first ever Tasmanian tournament you've missed. Like, he's fished every single one since 2006. So someone rattle Lee's cage, see if he wants to come along and bring that old Carl Jockham's and Skeeter of his across and fish another tournament, because he's due for another win. He can smash them. He knows where they are.
And we got in the comments Leighton Veer, another local Tassie. He's keen, waiting for the invasion.
Oh, yeah, the invasion.
And then heading over on the Spirit tonight, Jamie Bowden is sitting in line waiting to head
Oh,
across.
and it doesn't leave from Geelong until like 11 at night. So, Jamie, get yourself on there and go and find that bar. Warn them that Nicole will be there in a few nights. Awesome. Okay, so thanks for that update on the comments. So we've got a few stories tonight. Where are you from, comp? Put it in the comments. Facebook, YouTube, doesn't matter. Nicole will randomly pick someone towards the end of the night. We'll give them a prize pack. So let's go to Steersy now and get the good oil from the naming sponsor of the Derwent River and the man who makes the crank crab. Go to Steersy now. Steve Steer, you are the Tasmanian local. You are the sponsor of our Derwent River round, the Cranker Lures Derwent River round, and You are an ABT champion in the past, mate. So you are the ideal man to have on board for this ABT Tazzy show, the ABT Live. Welcome.
G'day, Morgo, and g'day, listeners. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity to have a chat about Taz, because it is a great place to fish, and I'm looking forward to seeing what ABT bring down this year. So
it's really interesting. In the early years, you remember we used to come down every year. That's when we used to think the Spirit was expensive, but now we know it wasn't that bad compared to how dear it is now. But ever since we've made it every second year we go to Tassie, the numbers have gone right up. It's like really an event nowadays, isn't it? People save up and they make sure, because if they miss out this year, it's like 2 more years until you can go and do a tournament on some of the most diverse and beautiful bream fisheries in Australia.
Yeah, I think it also, the 2-year thing sort of allows people to make a holiday of it. They sort of tend to fill in the bit in between and go and check out Taz, which is awesome.
So, and that's just given me an idea. So the first thing we're going to talk about before we dig down into the tournament stuff, if you're going to advise a mainlander coming down to do the tournaments in ABT, and remember, we've already fished St. Helens and the Derwent and the kayaks, they've fished Little Swanport and the Swan. Give the mainlanders a couple of little gems that they might want to visit to experience some real quality fishing in Tassie if they were chasing the bream. What would Steersies to out of left field ones be?
Probably the best systems that I could recommend would be, when you're up at St. Helens, visit Anson's Bay, which is right up in the north.
Agreed. Yep.
Or Little Mussel Row, which is even higher. Either or of those. Little Mussel Row, just be aware it's only sort of suited to small boat launches. Yep. It's not a big system, so you need a small boat for that one. But Anson's, you can launch a decent boat, and that is an incredible fishery with some great fish in it, and lots of fish. And it's got it's a big bay. It's got some shallow flats out the front. It's got some deeper weed in the sort of bay itself and rock. And then up the river, it's got prime snags and deep undercut edges, and it's pretty much got everything you need.
It was like you designed it as your own personal fishery. If you were going to design a fishery that was awesome, you'd design Anson's Bay, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and it's pristine. It's sort of, you generally have the place to yourself when you're a local here. Not many boats, put pressure on it. So it's a great fishery for the mainlanders to sort of go and have a good play. There's some cracking fish in there. So, yeah, I think it's a real good one. So that'd be the one in the north. And then in the south, if you're sort of going down past the Derwent, you guys are doing the Huon, I believe.
Yep, as a trial, yep.
So there's a couple of systems south of there, the Esperance, or right down to Southport, and that's probably one of my favourites. So Southport's not a big system, but it's a brilliant little system with full of racks. It's got very tannin-stained water, sort of like the Huon. But it's also got a nice clear push-in tide that comes in from some islands out the front, and it's beautiful and pretty. I took Ian Miller down there a few years back, and people probably would have seen the results of that trip down there. I think we had close to 7 kegs a day, for 5, and it's an epic place down there if you get the timing right. So
that's great. Yeah, I know it's a favourite of a lot of the regulars who come down. They really love that joint. Clear water. They don't mind eating top waters at this time of year, and it's all happy days. Now let's dig a little bit down into the ABT stuff. You used to fish it in the early years. I remember. Tell me if I'm wrong, but in the first event that we had in 2006, we ran it out of the Austin's Ferry Yacht Club there, and you were paired with my old man, and he said you went swimming for the day. Was that true?
That is true. My electric went into wacko mode and started spinning and just started tying knots in the cable.
Yep.
And so I grabbed the head of it to try and stop it, and it sort of threw me in. So I ended up in the drink, and it was freezing cold. I don't know what time of year that was, but it wasn't this time of year that you guys are coming down. It was certainly colder. And there was snow on
the water was
snow on the mountain. There was snow on Mount Wellington, and I ended up in the drink, and it was fairly early in the day, and so we had no electric, and I was soaking wet and freezing cold, and it made life very difficult. So we had a good day regardless. And, I think you ended up loaning me some clothes when I got back to the ramp, and they were about 4 sizes too small. And but anyway, they did the job and kept me warm. So, yeah.
There you go, mate. Surprised you went in another tournament after that, the first time. I reckon the old man pushed you in.
No, he actually dragged me back in the boat, which I was surprised he could actually do that, because I was soaking wet and freezing cold. But yeah, he got me back in. So
now
yeah.
you're super competitive in the Tassie events. So I think you've won nearly everything to win there locally. But one thing that did evade you in the ABT years was a Tassie Angler of the Year, mate. And my apologies for that. You were telling me this before. I don't know. I forgot that I was the one that knocked you out of that one year. But sort of sorry, not sorry.
Oh, well, I had the fish on to win it. I just blew it. So, yeah, it's all good. It's my fault. And I think Sean was my spotter on that day of that comp, and Sean Clancy, and I was on his boat, actually. And I hooked an absolute monster, and it just drilled me. So, yeah, I was a bit unlucky, but I would have loved to have come away with the AOI, but it wasn't to be. So, ended up in second.
There you go. Now, your event that Cranker Lures is sponsoring is the Derwent River event. There's a couple of things I want to talk about in this segment. Firstly is you have vast experience in the Derwent. You've caught ridiculous bag weights out of there. And I'm going to have a few new guys coming down to Tassie. I want you to give them sort of the Derwent River basics. And this applies to anyone who's going to go down the Derwent. It's a magnificent bream fishery, but it's not like you just go anywhere, throw out in every cast you catch a keggy. You still need skills to catch them. Give them Derwent River 101. Like, what are the fish doing through the tide cycle, and how can you access them?
So tides, for me, in the Derwent, fish best on a run out, which you guys in your tide at the moment don't have. You've got no run out. You've got all run in. So, but it's an interesting one. It'll make it interesting. But there's plenty of fish and good fish on the bottom of the drop. So I think with the tides that you guys have got, I'd be looking at rocky shores at the bottom of the drop, in the 10 to sort of, 14-foot range.
Yep.
That sort of will play, I think, in this tournament quite a bit. Now, whether that's on structure such as jetties, the zinc works, various rock walls along the system, Bedlam walls, where Stevie Pryke won it one year.
Yep. And Spiro won it.
Yeah, Spiro won it up on the walls on a high tide. So yeah, look, I'd be looking for that, bottom of the drop, predominantly with your tides, and then as it pushes, as you've got sort of run in up to high, very late in your tournament, then I'd be looking for an edge bite. So it'd be, late in the day on both days where you might start pegging the edges and looking for those sort of fish that have come up out of the deep and started to feed on the edges. And look, the Derwent's a classic edge bite when it's on the edges, but it also has a lot of reef that, guys with good sounders will find, no problem.
Yep.
And those reefs are typically anywhere from sort of 1.8 to 4.5 metres. And there's some really good fish on those deep reefs. So, there's so much options in the Derwent. It is endless. You've got bridges. You've got, they're doing some work, just so everyone knows, they're rebuilding the Bridgewater Bridge at the moment, which is an interesting one. And I don't know how the old bridge, because it was a hot spot for bream, and everyone will know it that's been there. They sort of pile up on the tides behind the poles. The bait fish get behind the poles, and then the bream get on them, and sort of like Lake Mac Bridge and all those sorts of places. There's good fish on the bridges, so they will probably play in this tournament. So I'd be looking at bridges as well. There's 3 bridges to look at, so you've got shallow right through to 40-metre deep sort of bridges. So,
how deep's the deepest bream you've ever caught in the Derwent? Do you catch them only up to 20 foot, or do you catch them deeper sometimes?
No, you catch them deeper. There's I've caught fish on the bottom of the Tasman Bridge, which is 20 plus metres in spots. So yeah, it's it's even deeper than that in one area, where the channel sort of cuts through.
Yep.
So you can catch them. It's very tidal, obviously, at that depth. You've sort of got to get your timing right.
Change of tide. Yep.
Yeah, change the tide when you can get your lures down, and there's not too much flow. So yeah, it is an option, definitely. All the bridges are interesting structure, and they hold fish, and fish frequently come and go on them. So yeah, I'd be definitely looking at the bridges. I'd be looking at all the jetties, all the break walls, anything with a bit of depth on it, on those tides, because you got run-in all day. I just think, the fish are sitting deeper normally on those tides, and then they'll move up as the tide moves up. So I'd be looking at that sort of deeper depth, fishing blades, crabs, deep diving minnows, just paralleling structure with those sorts of lures, keeping it in the zone where you're seeing fish.
That's really cool, because you've narrowed it down to basically there are fish in the entire river, and that is true. Like, it's in the past, it's been one off the Bridgewater Bridge, it's been one above the Bridgewater Bridge, it's been one all the way down in Ralph's Bay, it's been one right at the start line. It's pick your poison, isn't it? Whatever you like doing, you're going to find somewhere in the Derwent to do it, and you'll probably catch fish doing it in there. So I suppose that'd be my advice to the mainlanders: is pick your strength and pick your spot in the Derwent where you can do it, and there'll be fish there.
Well, it's been, look, I think personally this year with the tide you got, maybe from Cadbury's Point down would be the zone I'd be sort of looking in. The fish are spread out this time of year right through the system, but yeah, and they can be right down in Ralph's Bay, as Cricky has shown, So yeah, I'd be looking everywhere from sort of Cadbury's Point down myself, and even a little bit above Cadbury's Point. There's some good structure up there and good rocky shores that tend to hold some really good fish at times. So yeah, they're everywhere. They're on the shallow reefs, in the backs of bays as well. And there are reefs that stay under the water, even at low. So, if you can find those reefs, they can be hotspots.
Tell us, the other question I had for you in this segment was, of course, we all know the cranker crab is the winningest lure, like in ABT's modern history. Don't know how come it didn't win a tournament before about 2010. Didn't exist. But anyway, since then, the post-crab era you've dominated it for a decade now or more. But one of the cranker sort of secret lures that I use a bit now, and Mark Healy, when he was a non-boater, taught me how to use it, was that little cranker crank. And it works on the blacks because it's one of the few little flat cranks you get that's suspending. Tell us the story about the cranker crank and how you like fishing it down there, because I love it. I literally, last night I was in the Brisbane River throwing them, catching yellowfin bream on them. I love using them.
Yeah, look, everybody knows that blacks love a suspender, and sometimes suspending it for up to sort of a minute at times can pay dividends. On a tough bite, hanging that lure in front of the fish and teasing them into eating it can be the key to get the better fish. The better fish will hang back, and they'll sort of wait and not be so anxious to grab a lure at times. So teasing them into actually eating the lure can be critical on blacks.
Yep.
And so those bigger fish, teasing them up with a suspender, hanging it in their face, then pulling it away, getting them a bit aggro, and watching how they respond and sort of tweaking your lure retrieve to suit the response can pay dividends. If you can see the fish, you can tease them into eating a suspending crank or a suspending minnow. So that was the whole reason. I think we're the only company that does a true suspending crank.
Yep.
Most of the cranks on the market are, buoyant floaters.
Yep.
And we built it specifically for blacks. So it definitely works. It's got big bream multiple times in the Derwent.
Yep.
And even Andy McCarthy caught big bream in a classic event here on our little crank. So it's shown itself to be a real performer in the Derwent. So yeah, please don't overlook it. The colours that I would look at in the Derwent would be our flash prawn. It's a standout. It catches.
Yeah.
They love it. It can be fished in clear water or dirty water. It's got a little bit of flash, but not too much. And it just seems to work in all waters from crystal clear to sort of it's a good all-rounder.
Yeah, and I noticed that when you pull them out of the box, perfect hooks, super sharp, straight out of the box, you just tie it on and start fishing.
Yeah, we run decoy YS25 standard on them. So, yeah, you can just pull them straight out of the box. They cast well and they suspend well in our sort of brackish waters. So
that's awesome, mate. Look, the final thing I want to mention to the people watching this show is the fact that if you're down there and they want to get access to you, you're going to be available. You're going to be at your own event down at the Derwent. I'm going to give you a really terrible job like manning the bump tub or something like that. But Steersy on the bump tub means that when you come in and got your fish to weigh in, you get to have a chat to Steersy and you can hand out a few of the tips, especially some of the guys that might be struggling. You might be able to point them in the right direction, mate.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait, actually. Yeah, I'll definitely be at the Derwent round. I'll try to make it to the St Helens round. I'm not sure whether I'll get there yet, but we'll see how we go.
Awesome, mate. Well, since you're not fishing, I know you're going to be like handing the advice out, especially the guys that are struggling. Help them out, mate. I want them to come back from Tazzy with memories that they're going to be talking about in 10 years' time, you know. So thank you very much for your sponsorship and thank you very much for joining us on ABT Live. We can't wait. It's only a few days till we're back down to repossess my boat from Mario Vukic and head across the Bass Strait, mate. So we'll see you soon.
Absolute pleasure, and I look forward to catching up with everyone.
Thanks, Dizzy. Doing the crab dance. In the current. Claws in the air. They're reminding me what they look like underwater. I just think you throw it in and you catch a fish, but they're sitting there like, come on, Brim, come and get me. Awesome, Steersy. Great supporter of ABT over the years and does know how to use a fishing rod. So some good advice there from Steersy on Tazzy. Yeah, it's going to be a good time having Steersy on the bump tub, trying to find an undersized Brim in Derwent. It's like sending him to find a left-handed screwdriver for us.
They're below the bridge, above the bridge.
Yep, deep, shallow, eat
Edges.
crabs, crankbaits and jerkbaits. So
Yeah.
if you're thinking you just throw whatever you like, whenever you like in Taz, yep, you can. Brim bite it all the time. That's why we go there. You don't pay money on the spirit because you like the spirit of Tasmania. You pay money on the spirit so you can be down there immersed in that awesome fishing. And the fish, 100% are not as educated as, say, a Malakuta Brim. 100%.
Speaking of going on the spirit, we have proof here from Jamie. He is sitting in the queue waiting to get on the spirit. It's starting to get me excited.
Look
getting
at
on the
you
spirit.
good. You insta-stalking people. Nice work. Oh, no, he tagged us.
He tagged.
Still,
Didn't have to go looking too hard.
I count that as stalking.
But it's all happening. All the anglers starting to make their way across to Tasmania.
Hey, while we're talking about Instagram, let's give your Instagram a push. You've got an ABT dedicated Instagram channel that I keep on saying, here, put that up on the channel. Tell them what it is. I know you've got any graphics prepared, but tell everyone what it is.
That's just Nicole, ABT.
NICHOLLE_ABT. Please blow up her Instagram because she's waiting for Instagram to blow up. It hasn't blown up yet. No one's even lit the fuse yet. How many followers you got?
A couple.
400? 500?
Dedicated fans that like to know what wine I'm drinking at events.
No, this is like, if you want a scoop on all the stuff that I'm not going to tell you because I reckon it's too secret, Nicole is like, oh, I'll leak that information. No worries. It'll be on my Insta. So there you go. Sign up to it. See how many we can get. How many you got now? Tell me how many followers you got. Let's see if we can get up by 50 by the end of the show. Come on.
Oh,
Nicole loves
good.
unscripted stuff.
Oh, it's really good.
Nicole, so there you go. So let me have a look here. I won't even have to put my Maui glasses on. 457 followers. Let's see if we can get to 500 by the end of the show. It's Nicole86_ABT. You didn't even know what your own Instagram address is. Anyway, give her a like.
Love it. Thank you.
There you go. See, she hates being in the spotlight. But here you are, not behind the computer anymore, in front of the camera. We love it. Give it another few ABT lives that I'm not even going to bother being in front of the camera. You can do the computer, you can do the live. And from all reports, she's going to be in the top 3 Tasmanian women's kayak fishermen too in the event.
Oh, it's guaranteed at the moment.
How many are entered?
2.
Top 3 guarantee. All I'm saying is podium finish coming up. Congrats. Let's talk more about Tazzy, Brimmen and some of the cool stuff from our great sponsors, Minkota. We get a story we shot with Sean Clancy while he was in New Zealand. earlier in the week, and just FYI, there was a beer sitting right next to his computer. As soon as we stopped filming, it came straight out and went straight down the pile.
It was a couple of hours ahead, so.
Oh yeah, it was like definitely beer o'clock, but I reckon it was getting flatter and flatter. That's why we had to knock it off a bit early. So thanks for joining us, Sean, and his interview. So Sean, I'm not a great teller of things in the future, but it doesn't look like you're in Australia, mate. Those curtains look like they're New Zealand.
Yeah, over here in New Zealand at the moment doing our training event for the launch of the new Minkotas. So I'm on Lake Rotorua,
Yep.
which is on the North Island. It's really cool, actually. There's a big lodge here, and we're right on the water. And we got annoyed by a trout all day, seeing big trout, freshwater trout arches on the screen, and couldn't catch a thing all day. But yeah, awesome to get all the boat builders and dealers and retailers to come for the next couple of days and get them out on the water and show them the new products.
It's well, we appreciate you're a busy man, and we appreciate the time that you're going to spend with us on ABT Live tonight. But I thought it was pretty important to get you for a few reasons. Firstly, because we've got the Minkota St Helens Round of the Brim series coming up, and you've got some history in Tasmania that I'll explain to the newbies in ABT. Newbies being people that are only like 10 years worth of knowledge.
Yeah, that's it.
But also, I'm going to hit you up on some of the new product that you got there. So let's start with your history in Tassie. You were part of the pioneering group of all of us suckers that would catch the Spirit across when it was actually, we thought it was expensive at the time, but it's really cheap compared to doing it now.
How much is it now?
Oh, you don't even want to know. It was like $4,000, my car and a boat now. So it's, but back in the day, yeah, first tell us, how much did it cost you the first time you went to Tassie with your car and boat? Do you remember?
I think it was about 1,500. And we all took a few liberties with length, and I think Freebs took the most liberties of all of us.
Freeb's 12-metre rig was about 6.5 metres long, according to the manifest. Yeah. In those early days, mate, you were really successful. You won Tasmanian Angler of the Year when we had state-based AOYs. Tell us about that year you were down there, mate. You couldn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was my second year or third year. The first year was just an eye-opener. Like, I think you guys had been a year or so before that. And obviously all the reports, especially on the Derwent, about these big fish. And I remember on the Derwent, I weighed 10.7 kilo and came 10th. And I was like, jeez.
Kilo average isn't good enough.
Yeah. And so two really different fisheries too. St Helens is there's a few options there, but I found primarily a flats option. And I had a really good session. There's a point, if you're heading down towards the entrance, there's this point that comes out, and then you go around that point, and I think then there's the racks. And I just worked the weed edge on that point on the left, and just had this amazing session there. You might have even gone past me at one stage, or you were always playing up in that canal up above the marina. Are you still going in there?
Oh, mate, it has to be pretty windy for me to get in there nowadays, mate. But the flatfish, you're correct. It seems to have an inordinate amount of fish just cruising around in this really crystal clear water. And the further you go towards the mouth, the more of these you see, but not necessarily the more you catch. It's one of those fisheries where you can see 50 fish and not catch them, or you can blind cast to some areas and you hook them up and you don't even know they're there. So, so what was your gun when you come second in St Helens, mate? Was it crankbait or jerkbait?
It was MW 62s and 72s.
Oh, the old eco gears, mate. That's right. You were an eco gear man. Yeah,
in that it's like yellow mustard colour.
Yep, it's still popular down there today, guys. Like really? Victorian are throwing that around, and
yeah, that worked really well. And then I was using the same lure, but in the black back and silver sided for the Derwent.
I remember that. Was that the Derwent comp where you basically just sat in one spot the whole tournament and just caught them off this reef like all day?
Yeah, that Cadbury's Point was sort of the place I gravitated towards, and you like to flex your muscles and try and own a part of it. Yeah, that was good. Just slow rolling over rocks and stuff. 12-pound leaders, still getting smoked.
Yeah.
And then there's a spot just downstream around the corner, right next to the Cadbury factory. There's that little bay, and I had a really good session in there a couple of times as well. So yeah, I mainly hung around that area on the Derwent.
Talking about St Helens and the Minkota sponsorship of the event, like trolling motors are probably as important as anything on the flats, just to direct your drift. And the new ones you've got, I see you've got one of the new Quests beside you there.
Yeah.
They're the first of the Minkotas that have a brushless motor. So tell me what that means with regards to stealth, because every brushless motor I've seen and used has been super quiet. Are these the same?
Yeah, they're definitely really quiet. You know, when we run them at a show on a display, all you can hear is the wind.
Yep.
Even flat out. So there's no doubt they're quiet. And obviously power too. And it's not just thrust, it's torque. The torque in these things is unbelievable. And I suppose the primary market for these, especially from an instinct point of view, the auto-stow deploy, is that big boat offshore market. And that's where they really need that grunt to hold those bigger boats.
A question I had that I'm sure a lot of other viewers of the show are interested in: if I upgrade to a Quest, has it got the same bolt holes as the old motors, or do I have to drill new holes?
So the base is a lot bigger. The first thing they realised when they developed the new brushless motor, and they bolted it to existing frameworks, if you like, they were just bending frames.
Yep.
So they knew they had to beef all that up. So it's wider footprint. It's also a lot heavier plate.
Yep.
So it's a different hole pattern. And I think what we'll see in our market is obviously the real top end guys will want that Quest or that brushless technology. But the good thing that we've done is we've still got a full range of brush motors, and those brush motors have all the same new features and share the same remote as the new Quest motors. So a guy with a 12-foot tinny can grab a power drive and get all the features, and the new drift mode that's just been crazy how good that is. You know, he's getting all those features. So that's, I think, a really smart move, and something that, you know, we're not sort of ostracizing ourselves from those consumers that have a smaller boat and don't really want to put a big motor on that boat.
Yeah, understood. So why not own all of the market? Don't just fight for the top bit of it. We all know that the 12-volt Minkotas are the sweet spot when it comes to selling lots of units. And if you're not pricing the tinny guy out of it, then happy days.
Yeah.
A bit of good news you'd probably be interested in hearing from down at Gippsland Lakes. I'm sure you kept up with the results there about how many big fish are coming out of the net-free area down there now. But I just interviewed for the magazine Tom Slater, who's one of your Minkota Humminbird pros, and he was really, really excited to use his Humminbird side image, but he has it mounted to the armature of his electric motor, and he'd use it on the flats, and he'd point it in the different directions, and he'd be able to see the beats that the bream were going along. So he could, put his raptors down, he could see where the fish were, and they're very predictable. So he came second in that event. So he outfished a lot of guys that might have been using live technology, but all he needed to do was identify where they were coming through and then catch those fish. I thought it was really innovative because I haven't actually heard of anyone doing that at an ABT event before, apart from the Barra guys. The Barra guys are right into the Barra swims through the beam, but with the Humminbird stuff, you can do it with bream.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that I think everyone would agree our side imaging is still the best on the market. And one of the things that I identified like years ago, our side imaging, it goes all the way to the surface. So we can go up on the flats and see a lot further than some of the other stuff, and clarity. So we have a very good ability to identify small bream on a flat 20, 30 meters away in under a meter of water. And that also goes for like going up little rivers and things. We can see sort of bank to bank going up those rivers. So Yeah, I can see how Tom would have definitely used that for sure.
That's great. We've got bigger fields than we used to have in Tazzy. And St Helens, we probably used to put 25 boats on that fishery, but nowadays it's high 30s numbers of boats going down there. We make Tasmania every second year so that people, it's probably a bit of financial burden to get there. Yeah, and it's a real event nowadays. So I've got a question for you, St Helens. It fished pretty awesome in the past. We've had bags up around 6 kilos in the past, and we've also had events that have been won with 6 kilos over 2 days.
Yeah.
What's your prediction for this year about what weight you reckon you're going to need to win it? I'm going to come back and have a look at this later on and see if you still got it, mate.
Well, I have no idea, mate.
Okay, is it going to be closer to 10 kilos or 5 kilos? Is it going to be a good year or a slow year?
I'm going to say 7.6 kilos.
There you go. All right. We'll see how you go, man. I'm going to write that one down. We're going to see how you go for that. And one more question that I've got for you before I let you know. I know New Zealand's a few hours ahead, and the sun's probably going to go down soon. Tell us the year you won the grand final. So this is a bit more ABT history here. In 2010, I think it was, you won at Minkota.
Yeah.
It was one of the best comebacks we've ever seen in a grand final. Where did you come from for the win? From what place?
So end of day one, 20th.
Yep.
And back then, there was probably half a dozen of us that really, Minkota was our home paddock.
Yep.
And
yeah,
I was kind of like, well, I'm out of this. I've blown that. And then after day 2, I was 10th. So I made it was top 10, wasn't it?
We had 3 days, and I think it was might have been a top 10 shootout or a top half of the field.
Anyway, so I made the last day, and we were fishing. I was fishing the bottom lake out in the middle, and then it just wasn't happening. It wasn't for me anyway. And so I just went over to a bank and started fishing. And I was fishing 2 pounds straight through, and just hooking big blacks, just one after the other. And as you know, with straight through, you kind of just hook it and then just hold the rod, get on the electric and just drive out. And because it's straight through, they don't tend to panic. If you don't panic, they don't panic. That's how I've sort of found it.
Yep.
And so I just drive out on the electric, get it out into clear water and fight it, net it. And it was just sort of one after the other. And I didn't even really take notice of the bag. And but, they were all good. And then Freeds came over and so, how you going? I said, oh, yeah, I got 5, not bad. And he was struggling. He'd blown fish. And I think what it was Freeds and Jared, talking to them afterwards, they were right in it. I think they were up in the top 5 and they were right in it for the win. And I just think it was obviously pressure that, hey, I got a shot to win this thing. And I just didn't feel like I was in the running to win it. So I was just happy to be fishing the last day.
Yep.
And so I just, it was just a cruisy day, having fun on these things on 2 pound line. And so it was just, so there's the wife calling me. Going from 20th to 10th to win, spoilt Righty's dream. So he would have been the first one to win win twice.
Yeah,
so no one won twice still, have
nobody's won twice. We've had some firsts and seconds, like Righty's a first and a second, and I'm pretty sure Brad Hodges is a first and a second. There's a few Southern Coast, New South Wales and Vicky guys have had firsts and seconds, but no one's won it twice. And every year we're going, this is the year.
Someone's got to do
the year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Look, I don't fish ABTs anymore because I just I sort of lost that real intense passion for it. And I feel like it's unfair for me to go to a tournament unprepared and take a non-boater on my boat and not be able to give them the best possible time on the water. Yep. So I do the odd Vic BREAM still with Jared because I can just say to Jared, look, I'll jump on the boat and I'll go fishing with you, but I'm not going pre-fishing. I'm not going to be sweating over lures and all that. Yep. I'll literally dust my gear off and come and have a good weekend away. So, I still follow it and I still enjoy seeing how everyone goes. But personally, I just lost that real peak passion, which I think you need if you want to compete with the likes of yourself and the other guys that are still doing really well.
Well, guess what, mate? You've won as many grand finals as anyone in history. Still.
Yeah.
You've got that one. You've got the Angle of the Year trophy and the ABT stuff there, mate. So, look, we appreciate your support now. You're embedded in BLA there now. I reckon you're going to be a lifer in that joint. You're never going to work for anyone else.
25 years this year, mate.
25 years at BLA. BLA, great sponsor of ABT. They do Hummingbird, Minkota, so many brands that we use all the time. So, mate, appreciate your support as a company, and thanks for taking us through a bit of that history, mate. It's I'll be thinking of you when I catch me first kegger ripping across the flats at Dillon's there, and I'll say thanks, Clance, for the. I'll catch you on a little eco gear, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah, good on you, mate.
All right, mate. We'll have a good time in New Zealand. Thanks for your time on ABT Live.
Thanks, Morgo.
I'll be your beast of burden, an ally in enemy territory, a friend in unfriendly situations. The less than ideal, that's my idea of a good time. Overgrown, nasty, unforgiving, stumps, roots, rocks, angry winds, and mean currents. Throw me in and watch me swim. Mother Nature may be tough. I'm tougher. Lean in, roll up your sleeves, push through to the spots where you can really prove your mettle. Because discomfort isn't a deal breaker. It's just a hurdle between you and hooking in. I'm the kind of motor that'll take you places where chaos is the cost of entry, where the fish are worth the fight, where grit and guts beat glitz and glamour. If you ask me, the bigger the question marks, the better the quest.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you crying? Are you crying because you've got so many Insta followers? Look at that. You're up to now 473. Nicole, NICHOLLE 86 _ABT. You're blowing up Insta. You're going to get to 500 tonight. And look at you crying. You're crying.
The emotion.
Did you poke yourself in the eye or something?
Must have. Oh my goodness. All right. Welcome back.
So long as you know what buttons to push, you'll be sweet. Hey, I like the tagline at the end of that Minkota ad.
The bigger the question mark.
The bigger the quest, the greater the quest. I don't know. It was about question marks and quests. It was pretty good. And I thought there might have been Carl in that. A bit of a snippy, passing glance at Carl. So, you know, we're like anything that's full of Americans that's got Carl in it. We're like, yay! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oh, so how much sleep did you lose last weekend?
Admittedly, I did watch Bassmaster until about 2 o'clock in the morning every single night. Normally there's a bit of test cricket or something to bounce between, but it wasn't. It was straight Bassmaster. And I reckon it was awesome how they ramped up the coverage to have the live sonar next to the angler so you can see what they're seeing. It's good to see the Bassmaster record up to what I can do.
I say, I've been watching you. And then backing up this weekend?
Yeah, Lake Fork this weekend. Carl and Gussie's fishing. It's like, all right, big question for you, Nicole. In Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing, they're in the same group. Did you pick Carl or Gussie? What did you pick? Be honest.
Gussie.
Gussie. Gussie's awesome. Good work. Gussie says he's coming on Baratour again this year. He's coming out again. So
that's pretty cool.
We'll see if the Canadian snow leopard melts in the heat up there at Camp Kanga again. So he has a great time up there. Loosey goosey goes to the bottle shop, fills up the car, goes to the tackle shop, fills up the box, goes out the boat, fills it up with Barra. Loving it. Let's get on to our third, and this is a bit of a shorter segment because we had a few connection problems with Big Will Thorpe. Lives at Huonville down there. Where are we holding the next event from? Huonville, Huon River, giving everyone the good oil on what's going to happen at the Tasmanian Teams Open. Big news is if you enter that free event, you're not guaranteed a badge.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Got 13 entries, so someone going to miss out. But you won't miss out on free lures. We got more free lures than we know what to do with. I think every team will get at least like 3 or 4, like $100 worth of bait, 3 or 4 baits.
Easy.
$100 worth of baits per team. And we'll have some sort of promotion if you whack a big brim on them. They happen to be Will's favourite lures down there. We'll give you something else, probably some more baits. That's what we've got to give away. So let's go and talk to Will Thorpe from Huonville about the Tassie BREAM Teams Open. So, Will Thorpe, he is a man from southern Tasmania who got everything he ever wanted. And what you wanted, Will, was an ABT event on your home river on the Huon. How does it feel to get a trial event, the Tassie Teams Open, in your backyard? Where do you live?
So I live in Huonville, which is I literally live maybe 500 metres away from the water itself, so I'm right amongst it all the time.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living? And I want to know what your biggest bream you've caught in the Huon is.
So I'm a fish farmer, so I'm a land salmon, it's my profession. But my biggest bream I've ever caught, it is big, but to Tassie standards, there's a lot bigger fish. But 45 to the fork and 2.1 kilos is my biggest bream.
Wow, that's awesome. Was that in the Huon or was that in another river?
Oh, in the Huon, probably a few kilometres from my house.
Nice, mate. So the Tassie Teams Open, for the people watching the show that haven't heard about it, it's a free event, and it's an event which is designed to develop the Huon River as a proper, fully fledged ABT venue. It's got some good fish in it. I've seen Will's social media feeds. There's just an endless procession of big bream. But what we need to know at ABT is that it might be all right with one boat fishing it, but is it all right with multiple boats fishing it? And we're going to have maybe 15 boats fishing this event, and a normal ABT event might have 30 to 40 boats fishing it. Will, tell us about the size of the venue and where the bream go from and to. And assuming that I'm going to make the stop fishing mark sort of pretty oceanic on the other side of Cygnet, how much water is there to fish?
I think I looked it up the other day, and I think there's maybe 20 kilometres of fishable area, so there's quite shorelines there. But from where we launch at Franklin, maybe 5 to 6 kilometres upriver is sort of like the top end zone of where we can go. But then downriver from that, maybe Huon Island, which is south of Cygnet, 15 kilometres downriver brim to there. So it's every shoreline practically has fish on it.
Duo is the sponsor of this event and your sponsor. If you're going to pick a couple of duo lures, and we're actually giving the guys a couple of duos. We're giving them one of the Rosantes and I think one of the Realis 80s. They get that. Everyone gets that for free in their free event in gear pack. What are some of your duo favourites on the river?
The two you just held up. So
nailed it. I'm going to win. Sweet.
The Realis Minnow 80 is probably my favourite. But also, too, as you just mentioned, the Rosant 63, which is my other favourite as well. So, they've got both advantages and disadvantages, especially when it's windy. I like to throw the Rosant because it really punches into the wind.
Yeah, a bit heavier, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got also that magnetic weight in there, so it bombs our cast quite well. But all round, if I had to choose one lure, it would definitely be Realis Minnow 80.
Well, it seems like we're giving everyone the right gear in their prize packs, mate. Thank you very much for sharing all your information about about your home waters. Some people get very secretive about their home waters, but you're welcoming everyone, all the brimmers in Australia. Come down, try my home waters, and mate, if we get an ABT on there in 2026, mate, I reckon you're going to have to be the favourite.
It's pretty cool to have guys come down and be able to fish my home water. It's sort of a river that's overlooked a lot, especially by us Tasmanians. I guess we've got so much water and people would rather systems, but the Huon is equally as much, like, yeah, just as good, I would say.
No,
So
that's all.
guys are kind of gonna, love it.
Mate, we're having a few little connection problems, so we're going to leave it there. We'll probably talk to you after Tasmania about how you smashed 7 kilos on the Huon to win this thing. You and your mate Zabby are the Tasmanian terrorists of the Huon. Look forward to the event, mate, and we're heading to Tassie soon, so we'll catch you when you're down there.
No worries at all. Thanks for that, Steve. Appreciate it.
There you go. Unfortunately, the connection sort of died before we got the real good oil out of Will. But I did go back and look at the map, and I set that seaward boundary. I set it around the outside of Huon Island. Don't know if there's bream on Huon Island or not, but if there are, you can go and catch them.
I'm pretty sure he was a little bit like Steersy. You can go up the river and down the river and across it.
Yeah.
Look for hulls and also open water, and you'll find the fish.
And if you don't find them on the flats, you'll find them off the flats. Yeah, so it's like one of those joints where you say, hey, Will, have you caught one on that bank? Yeah. So he's got all the local knowledge. And I'll just show you these couple of baits again. They're you're turning that mic around, aren't you? I'm going to show you these 2 baits here. There you go. This is
Down a little bit.
I'm going to show them to you one at a time. This is the Realis. That one here. You can focus there. Very narrow and long, that one there. And the Rosanti. Better casting lure, Will said. But that one there, it's a lot fatter. So it's got a lot of casting weight in it there. And the chromey colours, the Tazzy brims just love. And very sharp hooks in them too. When I was taking them out, I got it caught up in my notebook and everything. So they are primed and ready to go straight out of the box. They were stolen out of the kit that we've got for the guys down. We have an embarrassment of lures for the guys that are there.
Boothie and the crew at Wilson's, they've
Generous.
really gotten behind this event. They love Tassie, love bream fishing in Tassie, love what Will's doing for them down in Tassie. So so much stuff to give away. For a free event, you're getting your entry fees worth of product.
And I did notice, if you've been playing around looking at the event sheet and all that sort of stuff there, we've been mucking around putting weights on the scoreboard to see, if it was working. And bang, in that office right there, we got 7.9 kilo limit. Just like that, just out of thin air.
Going to be a good
Might be
day.
hard to beat that.
Yeah, good day on the Huon.
Yeah, awesome. So let's go to our winner of the Where You From competition. Thank you very much to those who entered that. You've picked a winner. It's Colin Morell on YouTube, and he's from Goomery in Queensland. That's up Moddy's way. So you have got a big bag of stuff, and that's to say, well done for putting up with Moddy. He's within 50 k's of Moddy there, so putting him up for that long and still surviving and wanting to go fishing, you deserve that, Colin. So Colin's on YouTube. Can you send us a message on Facebook to Australian Bass Tournaments with your address on it? We will post that away. If you get it to us tomorrow, we'll post it away before we go to Tassie. Otherwise, it's going to get 3 weeks worth of dust on it, and we'll post it when we get back. So Nicole, short, sharp show that tonight. It's very focused on Tassie. How keen on you on a scale of 0 to snap your doodle of getting to Tassie?
Been waiting for this for 2 years, so it is like snapped right off. I hate myself for saying that.
Yes, it's a thing. And just a final update, how many Insta followers did we get you there? I think they got about 30 extras there. Didn't get to 500, but as you now know, you have an obligation to keep these people knowing what you're eating for breakfast and all that sort of stuff. So make sure after the pre-fish days of those kite tournaments to let out the good oil. Because if we were more prepared, I would get you to put a photo up on this screen here of the one you caught on the pre-fish at Little Swamport last year. It was a dead set freaking dinosaur.
On pre-fish day.
On pre-fish day, yep. I was headed over to help you tighten your drag up because it was streaking too much line. It's like, don't fish with that little amount of drag. And I went over to, that's sort of pretty tight. And a bit over 41 fork. It was well off the end of the ruler.
No, that'd be cool this year. Looking forward to it.
You have got absolutely no chance of catching one like that again in the tournament. So
Or ever again
you've
in
peaked
my
way too
lifetime.
early. That's it from us tonight. Anything else we need to say? We've got a comp winner. We've got some stories there.
ABT.org.au is where all the Tazzy results, videos, info, everything's going to be living there over the next couple of weeks.
Can I say one thing before we finish?
Sure.
How popular were the live scoreboards in Victoria? You did some stats the other day. The scoreboard, the event pages with the scoreboards on them were served how many thousand times over the week in Victoria?
It's a little over 25,000 times.
Over 25,000 times the scoreboard page was served, and that's for the Brim and the Bass event. But holy mackerel, back in the early days, we thought if we got to 5,000, we were like, this sport's going big time. And now it's like, oh, if it doesn't get 10,000 an event, it's like, that's a small event. So compare that to the old days when we used to do the weigh-in in the park. We used to have all the competitors there and their partners or significant others might come down. There's a couple of dudes walking their dogs past, a couple of kids that are a bit lost, a bit watching the weigh-in. And it might have been a big weigh-in. I reckon the biggest ones we ever had might have been 400 people, 500 people at Tari. Typically they're 50 people, 20 people. Now we're reaching thousands and thousands of people and showing what an awesome sport fishing can be. So I love it.
Very cool.
You can't finish that off, can you? That's
No,
done.
I think we're finishing on a high.
We'll see you from Tassie, guys. Thank you for joining us on ABT Live number 43.
I've lost my closer. Here we go. See you in Tassie.